Hello and welcome to Sew with Christine. Here is an amazing tutorial on how to draft a dartless corset. You won't need to create a bust dart or any waist dart when making this kind of corset. This is well detailed as it covers drafting of the basic bodies to creating the cup, that is the bust cup that you see, and also how to place your channels. So if this video is what you're interested in watching, kindly hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up and share. You want to turn your post notification bell on so whenever I post amazing tutorials like this, you get notified. Alright, on my paper here, I'm going to start by marking the half shoulder width measurement, which is 7 inches. Then I'm going to mark 3 inches for the neck width. Afterwards, I'll go ahead and mark the under bust measurement and the waistline. I'm going to take down the under bust and waistline measurements on this side as well. Then I'll go ahead and connect these marked areas together. From the half shoulder width measurement, I'm going to come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. Then from the shoulder slope, I'm going to mark my armhole depth line. To get your armhole depth line, divide your bust circumference by 6 and add 1 inch to it. So from the top of this paper to the armhole depth line, I have the measurement as 8 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark that here. After that, I'm going to connect these areas together. This line will serve as the chest line. Then I will connect from the neck width to meet with the 1 inch there for the shoulder slope. On the chest line here, I'm going to mark the half shoulder width measurements, which is 7 inches. Then I'm going to use my ruler to connect this way. At the center here, I'm going to come down by 3 inches for the neck depth. Then I will connect the neck width to meet with the neck depth. On this part here, I'll go ahead and mark 0.5 inch. After marking this, I'm going to rule a straight line downward. So this part that we are working on is the front part. For us to work on the back part, I will go ahead and extend these lines. After that, I will go ahead and mark the bust point line on this front part. The bust point measurement is 10 inches, so I'm going to mark down 10 inches here. Then I will connect both marked areas together. I'm going to quickly label the lines so you don't mix them up. The first one is the chest line, the next one is the bust point line, the third one is the under bust line, and the fourth one we have there is the waistline. Now to the back part. At the center back here, I'm going to go inward by 1 inch. This 1 inch will serve as the zipper allowance. From the 1 inch there, I'm going to go inward by 3 inches for the neck width. Then I will go downward by 1 inch for the neck depth. After that, I'm going to mark 7 inches for the half shoulder width measurement. Then I'll come downward by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. I'll go ahead and connect the neck depth to meet with the neck width. After that, I'm going to connect these areas for our shoulder slope line. Next, I'll mark the half shoulder width measurement here. Then I will connect these areas together. On the chest line here, I'm going to mark the quarter bust measurements. Then coming to the waistline, I'll mark the quarter waist measurements, but here I'm going to minus 1 inch from it. Remember, we are not using any waist dart, so the 1 inch that we would minus from the quarter waist measurement is for the snatching of the waistline. So if you want to snatch your waistline, minus 1 inch from your quarter waist measurement. I'll go ahead and connect the bust area to the waist area. Here on the armhole depth line, I'm going to divide this line into 2 and I'll go inward at that midpoint by 0.5 inch. After that, I'm just going to connect these areas together for our armhole curve. At the back here, I'm going to mark the quarter bust measurements on the chest line. Then I will mark the quarter waist measurement there and minus 1 inch from it. I'll go ahead and connect the 2 points together. Then I'll divide the armhole depth line like so and go inward by 0.5 inch. After that, I'm going to connect all these 3 areas for our armhole curve. So this is it, guys. I've gone ahead to extend this paper. If you want your dress to stop at the waistline, then you don't need this long paper. But if you want it to be a long length blouse, the normal length blouse, then go ahead and use this extended version. From the top part here, I'm going to measure the hip line. We don't need the hip line, but we need these measurements to be able to get the circumference of the blouse hem. That is why we are marking the hip line. So go ahead and mark your hip line here. I'm just going to extend this line to the back part. I will label this line HL, which is hip line. Then from the shoulder, I'm now going to mark the length of the blouse. This is where you want your blouse to stop. So I'm going to mark the length of the blouse. After marking, I'll go ahead and connect all the points together. Then on this hip line, take your quarter hip measurements. I'll go ahead and mark the quarter hip measurements. I'll go to the back part and also mark the quarter hip measurements down. Afterwards, I'm going to use my curve ruler to connect from the hip line to the waistline. I'm going to label this so you know the parts that I'm working on. This is the front part and this is the back part. At this side here, I'm going to blend out this sharp edge. Just use the curved side of your ruler to blend out the sharp edges. So far, we are done with the drafting of the main bodies. Now let's proceed to drafting the cup parts. This is the piece of paper that I'll be using for that. And on this side, I'll go ahead and mark my borderline of 0.5 inch. I'll do the same at the base here. Now we want to mark the height of this cup. So I'll bring in the basic bodice like so, and from the under bust, I'm going to measure to the chest line and add 1.5 inches to it. Now you can add more than 1.5 inches depending on how covered you want the bust area to be. You can go ahead and take your measurements directly on yourself to know where you want your bust cup to start and where you want it to end. So that will serve as the bust cup height. So after measuring, I got 7 inches. From this borderline at the base, I'll go upward by 7 and I'll mark that. Afterwards, I'm going to connect them together. The next measurement we are going to take now is the bust span line. Now for your bust span measurements, the one I'm using here is 3.75. But when you are marking your bust span measurements on that piece of paper, you minus 0.5 from it because of this 0.5 we have marked at the center front. So let's say your bust span is 4 inches, minus 0.5 from it. On that piece of paper, you are going to be marking 3.5 inches. For this, like I said, I'm using 3.75 minus 0.5, so I'm left with 3.25 inches. On this piece of paper, from the center front here, I'm going to come inward by 3.25 inches. After marking, I'll connect them together. So we have our bust span line created here. Next, I'm going to repeat the same measurements on this other side, 3.25, but this time I'm going to add 0.5 inch to it. Now you can add 1 inch to yours depending on how big your bust is. For you to be certain of your bust width, go ahead and measure from your center bust to the side where the fullness of your bust ends. Take that measurement, that is your bust width. Alright, we have the bust width drawn. Next is for us to divide this line into two. Since we have this at 7 inches, the midpoint is going to be 3.5 inches. I'll just go ahead and rule a line on it like so. On this line here, I'm going to come downward by 0.5 inch. I will go upward by 0.5 inch, and on the sides, I will go outward by 0.5 inch on all the lines, all the 4 lines we have there. Alright, I'm done marking the 4 lines and you can see what they look like. This is how yours should look. The next part that we'll be working on is the under bust tightening. For you to get the measurement of your under bust tightening, minus your under bust from your bust circumference and divide your results by 8. Mine gave me 7.5 inches, and after dividing by 8, I got 0.9 inch. So I'm going to mark 0.9 inch on this side and on the other side. I actually marked 1 inch on both sides since our value was 0.9 inch. I felt it was fine. Next, I'm going to use my curve ruler to connect these points together from the 0.5 to the 1 inch at the base. So this is for the under bust tightening. The next part will be for the over bust tightening. So minus your upper bust measurements from your bust circumference, I got 2 inches. Divide that by 8 and it gave 0.25. So on this part, I'm going to mark 0.25 and I'll mark 0.25 inch here. So yours could give you 0.5. Just go ahead and take your measurements. After marking, I'll go ahead and use my curve ruler to connect these marked areas to the center part there. Coming to the side here at the center front, I'm going to go upward by 0.5 inch and go downward by 0.5 inch. Afterwards, I'll use my curve ruler to connect this way. After this, we'll move to this other side. At this side, we are going to be using up 2 inches. So I'll go upward by 1 inch and go downward by 1 inch. Then I will go ahead and connect this. Alright guys, we are almost done with the cup part, but before we proceed, I want to label these so we don't mix them up. So we have 4 parts here. Next, at this top part, I will just go inward by 0.5 inch. Then I will use my curve ruler to connect these points together from the center line there to meet with the one at the base. I'll do the same thing for this other part too. Next, I'm going to open up this pattern. The reason we are doing this now is so that we can redraw our lines. Since we have taken out some dots, we'll need to redraw the lines. So I'm just going to place the base over the first one, that's number 4/1. Then I'm going to tape this down. After that, I'm going to connect from this 0.5 inch that I took at the top part to meet with the base. So just go ahead and redraw the line this way. Then coming to this side, I'll come downward by 1.5. Now this depends on how deep you want the cup depth at the center front to go. So I will just go down by 1.5 inches. I think that's fine. Then I will connect upward using a very slight curve. After that, I'll go ahead and cut this open. Then I'll place this number 2 over number 3 like so and tape this down. I'll bring in my curve ruler and reconnect these parts. After reconnecting the lines, I'll go ahead and cut this out. Alright guys, just a quick reminder, before you cut out your pattern, you want to place number 4 and number 3 this way to ensure you have a very smooth curve at the base here. If the curve there is not really smooth, then go ahead and reconnect the base before you cut it out. You can see the areas I'm cutting out are just the dart parts. We're almost done with the making of this cup area, but if you have watched this point and you have not subscribed to this channel, please hit the subscribe button. I would like you to give this video a thumbs up and share this video as well. Alright guys, here we are. I'm done cutting these and this is what we have here. I have the 4 parts. Next I will go ahead and tape them together. So this is it. I am done with the cup and you can see how beautiful this came out. This is amazing guys. I would actually like you to try this out on your own and give me the feedback in the comment section. Look at this, it looks so beautiful and as you can see it was very easy to achieve. Next is to draw the boning channel lines, but before we do that I will need to trace the shape of this cup onto the paper. All you just have to do is to hold your cup in place and trace round. Alright guys, this is what I've done so far before I realized my camera had stopped rolling. So I'm just going to do a quick recap on what I have done so far. As you can see, I've gone ahead to trace the cup base onto the paper. I'm just going to take the cup off this base so you can see what it looks like. Alright, so after tracing this, I went ahead to draw the curve at the hemline. I went up from the hemline by 3 inches for the front and the back. I went up by 3 inches. Then I place my curve ruler this way. Just follow the way I place it, or you can use a free hand to draw the curve. And I flipped the ruler to continue the curve to the center front. After I was done with the front, I did the same thing for the back. So this is how far I've gone before I knew my camera had stopped rolling. Right now we will be drafting the lines. Then coming to the hemline here from the center front, I will just mark 1 inch, then connect upward. Just go ahead and continue the lines. Separate them based on how you want them to look. At the side here, you can place the line this way, or you can just continue from the waist downward like so. So I'll go ahead and place mine this way. There's no exact way to place in your channel lines. Just be creative with it, that's all. Coming to the back here, if you're going to be making use of your zipper, then you'll be needing the zipper allowance. But if you're not going to be using a zipper, you want to use, let's say, eyelets, then cut this out. You do not need this. After cutting this, I'm going to come downward by 1 inch from the chest line. Then I will use my curve ruler to connect this. Thereafter, from the center back, I will come inward by 1.5 inch. This 1.5 inch is the opening you need for your lacing. So you're going to cut this out. So from this 1.5 inch, I'm going to measure 1 inch away from it at the base, and I will just connect upward. So I'll keep connecting this way until we are done with the lines. The amazing thing about making a dartless corset is that you really do not need to cut open all of these lines on your clothes. All you just need to do is place your bias tape on your clothes and just sew on it, or whatever material you want to use for your boning channel. Just place that directly onto your clothes and sew. You do not need to add any dart to this, and you will get a snatched waistline. Alright guys, you can see what we have here. This is what this looks like, and you can see the dotted areas. Those areas are for your eyelet placements. So if you want a yoke out of this dress, all you need to do from the back part, mark your bust span line measurements there, and for the neckline at the back, this depends on you. Now you can make this straight up just from that line, rule it straight to the neck width, but for me, I'm going to be using a different neckline at the back. So coming to the neck depth here, I will come downward by 1.5 inches. You can make yours 2 inches, just depends on you. I'll come downward by 1.5 and use my curve ruler to connect this way to the bust span line measurements. So this upper part area here would now serve as the yoke, that is the yoke for the back parts. Then this area will serve as the yoke for the front part. So at the yoke area here, you're just going to put any suitable fastener. It could be buttons, it could be hook and eye, whatever. Just go ahead and fix them there. So guys, we have come to the end of today's tutorial, and you can tell this tutorial was really amazing. So do not forget to subscribe to this channel, do like and share, and turn your post notification bell on. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.